If you've already tried everything to manifest and you're still stuck in the same financial reality, maybe you're not incapable. Maybe you've just never noticed what frequency you're tuned into right now. And it's that frequency, not your gift, that decides what reaches you. I'm going to show you where it got stuck and how to unstick it. Before we get into the 7 steps, let me ask you for 2 quick things. Subscribe here, because every week I bring you a more logical way to unstick that frequency. And leave a like, because that gets this video in front of more people who are stuck, just like you used to be. Now come with me and let's understand what's holding you back today. Some people have already read almost everything there is about manifestation. They've done the exercises, written down the desire, tried feeling grateful before the result even showed up. And even so, when they look at their own financial life, they see the same pattern as always, month after month, year after year. That's when at some point, without ever saying it out loud to anyone, that person came to a conclusion. Maybe she just doesn't have the gift. Maybe this works for other people, but not for her. Maybe the universe, or God, however you understand that, simply didn't want this life for her. I understand that conclusion. But it's wrong. Because the problem is almost never a lack of gift, it's frequency. Shink of a radio. The content can be perfect, but if the dial is a little off the right spot, all you hear is static. It's not that the sound is bad, it's that the tuning is off. And if the real problem was never that you lack the gift, but rather what frequency you're broadcasting on right now without even realizing it, then the question becomes, what exactly is blocking that frequency? You sit down, do 20 minutes of exercises, repeat the affirmation, feel that little rush of hope. Then you get up and spend the rest of the day doing the exact opposite. Complaining about the electric bill, comparing your life to someone who made it, checking your bank statement, scared of what you're going to see. 20 minutes of abundance against the rest of the entire day running on scarcity underneath. The problem is that we treat manifestation as if it were only about what we say we want. But that's not what the field listens to. It listens to your dominant emotional state, the one running all day long underneath everything, without asking permission. And most of the time, that state carries a secret identity of scarcity. Always chasing after something, never enough, never the right time. A lot of this didn't even start with you. It's a family pattern, a way of dealing with money that you learned by watching without even realizing you learned it. A piece of software running in the background. So understand this clearly. You don't manifest what you ask for. You manifest what your dominant emotional state is asking the field for all day long. And it's not asking for abundance. The good news is that state has a first adjustment point, a simple one, that most people have never stopped to make. There's something most people have never done, even knowing manifestation theory inside and out. Stopping to listen to what they themselves say about money when no one's listening. That's the first move, and it doesn't require any new technique. It just requires honesty. Imagine someone offers you something good right now, a raise, a proposal, an expensive gift. Is the first sentence that runs through your head, I don't deserve this, or is it, that makes sense, I worked for this? That automatic, unfiltered response is your real frequency. It's not what you post, it's not what you repeat out loud. It's the internal comment that no one else hears. Also notice the emotion that shows up when you think about having more money. Fear, guilt, shame, or a quiet calm. There's no right answer here, there's an honest one. And it's worth noticing where you already receive well without any weight, because there are probably already areas in your life where that happens. Your misalignment isn't a mystery. It's a pattern. And a pattern is something you can see before you decide what to do about it. Now that you've seen the pattern, here comes the question that actually moves things forward. Who you decide to be from here on. Because seeing the misalignment without changing your identity just leaves you more aware of the exact same place. Manifestation doesn't respond to what you desire. It responds to who you claim to be. Maybe you've already said 100 times that you want more money, but you've never actually stopped to see yourself as someone who already knows how to handle it well. And that's exactly where the difference lies between wanting to be rich and being someone who builds wealth calmly. The first idea is a request, something external that isn't yours yet. The second one is already an identity, a way of being in the world that confirms itself with every choice, even the small ones. You don't need to wait until you're rich to see yourself as a wealth builder. It's that perspective that opens up space for manifestation to respond. And that shows up in simple things. How you organize a small amount of money, how you talk about your finances with other people, how you treat an opportunity that comes your way, even a modest one. And your relationship with Source, with the universe, works better as a partnership than as a plea. You're not begging for a better life. You're building it together. But a new identity without emotional support doesn't hold. It cracks under the first bit of pressure. And that's exactly where the next adjustment lives. There's something the mind decides, but the body is the one that confirms it. You can have a brand new identity all figured out in your head and still feel your chest tighten just thinking about talking about money in some meeting, even when it's not even about you. That's a sign the frequency hasn't traveled from your mind down into your body yet. Next time someone brings up making more money, notice what happens. Tension in your shoulders. Shorter breathing, that knot in your stomach. Your body is reacting to money as if it were danger, even when there's no danger there at all. A simple way to start changing this is to practice receiving small things without reflexively turning them down. A compliment, someone paying for your coffee, a bit of help. Accept it without paying it back right away just to feel even. And set aside 1 minute of your day to genuinely feel gratitude directed at something specific that's already good right now. Not some generic gratitude tossed out into the air. If you change what your body considers normal, you change the way reality shows up for you. But even a well-built foundation like this is still going to be tested before it fully settles in. This is the part nobody tells you before you start. You adjusted your thinking, you're feeling different in your body. You already see yourself as a different person when it comes to money. And then the bill keeps showing up exactly the same. The bill doesn't know you changed on the inside. And that's exactly the point where most people give up, thinking they fooled themselves the whole time. This isn't an execution error. It's an emotional crisis. It's different from that structural misalignment we talked about at the beginning, the one running underneath everything all day long. This is something else. It's the echo of the old frequency still showing up, while the new one hasn't had time yet to manifest into physical form. Think of a seed. Above the soil, nothing has shown up yet, no sign, no leaf. But underneath, in the dark, roots are already forming. There's a natural delay between changing on the inside and reality reorganizing itself on the outside. And that delay isn't a sign of failure. It's just the time every real transformation needs to settle in before it shows up. And be careful about who's around you during this phase. There will be people, sometimes people you love, telling you that you're dreaming too big, that you should be more realistic. Remember, those voices are looking at the bill, not the root. They don't have access to what's already changed inside you, only to what hasn't changed outside yet. And that's why their opinion isn't the right measure of your transformation. This phase hurts, and it's normal for it to hurt. I'm not going to promise you that if you hold on just a little longer, results are going to explode tomorrow. But maybe the period where it looks like nothing's happening is exactly the proof that something is already being reorganized outside your field of view. And if you want to keep going, even without seeing results yet, let me tell you something quick before we continue. It's exactly in this phase, the delay between changing inside and seeing it change outside, where most people get stuck. Because they try to get through it alone, without a map, testing a little bit of everything. I went through that same period without any direction too, and what changed things for me was having a structured process to follow in the meantime. That's exactly why I wrote the ebook. It brings together the complete process for realigning your frequency, identity, body, and behavior. Exactly the way I wish I had found it back when I was right where you are now. The link is in the description. Take a look, see if it makes sense for you. And back to what matters right now. Even during this delay phase, there's a next practical step you can take today. So, recap. You've already seen the pattern, you've already redefined who you are, you've already started training your body to receive differently. Now it's time for that frequency to show up in the small decisions of your day. Because every choice you make with money is a silent declaration of who you believe you are. Think about a bill you need to negotiate. Do you call desperate, accepting any condition just to get it over with? Or do you call calmly, knowing there's room to negotiate, because you deserve a fair deal? The difference isn't in the bill, it's in the state of the person making the call. Small rituals of caring for what you already have, even if it's not much, count too. Organizing, sorting, putting things away with attention, instead of leaving them loose and forgotten, as if they weren't worth taking care of. That's frequency too. And there's something that deserves special attention. Accepting less than what you're worth, in a sale, in a negotiation, in a salary, isn't humility. It's an old behavior that just needs to be recognized so it can start to change. Your frequency doesn't change only in your mind. It proves itself or disproves itself in your choices today. And once your behavior is aligned, you still need to sustain it with attention, because it's easy to slip back if you don't know where to look. There's one sentence that sums up step 5 better than any theoretical explanation could. The law of attraction, in practice, is the law of attention. You strengthen whatever your mind visits several times a day, without exception, whether you mean to or not. On an ordinary day, your mind returns to lack a number of times you've probably never stopped to notice. To what you don't have, to what didn't work out, to what other people have and you don't. It's not about policing every single thought, like some guard on duty. It's about noticing the overall pattern of your week. One simple question helps flip that switch. Where do I already have more than I had a year ago? It can be small, it can seem silly, but the brain that answers that question is a different brain than the one that only sees what's missing. It's worth being more careful about what you let in. News, conversations, comparisons. This isn't about running from reality or turning into one of those people who only posts pretty quotes. It's simply about no longer feeding, all day long, the exact frequency you're trying to get out of. Maybe life isn't the only one handing you scarcity. Maybe you're the one, without realizing it, pointing your focus toward places where abundance never shows up. And even with your focus adjusted, there's still a habit running in the background that sabotages everything without you noticing. There's a habit that sabotages all of this quietly, almost invisibly, from behind the scenes. Control. That urge to check your bank statement again, to reread the same message looking for a sign, to ask one more time whether it's on its way yet. That's not discipline, it's distrust disguised as care. Has it happened yet? If that question keeps running through your head all day, notice something. Every time you check with anxiety, you're basically confirming to yourself that it still hasn't happened. It's a way of feeding exactly the thing you wanted to leave behind. The antidote is simple to describe and hard to sustain. Short moments of inner silence, without asking for anything, without checking anything, just being there. It doesn't need to turn into some long ritual or elaborate ceremony. One genuine minute already changes something. And the trust that holds this up doesn't come out of nowhere. It's built by looking back and recognizing small, real synchronicities that already happened, without exaggerating, without forcing meaning where there isn't any. Maybe you're trying to compensate for that feeling of incapacity with excessive control, and that, more than anything else, is what's blocking the process. Those 6 steps have already changed something in you. All that's left is the piece that connects everything. Here comes the piece that ties it all together. And it's not just another step like the other 6, it's what turns those 6 into a single system. Instead of 6 separate techniques competing for your attention, up until now you were probably still, without realizing it, testing the law. Doing the diagnosis, adjusting your identity, body, behavior, focus, control, and deep down waiting to see if this time it works. Testing is different from living with it. When you test, every result turns into a verdict on whether you're capable or not. When you live with it, the result is just information, not a sentence. And that's what changes everything. You're no longer testing the law, you're learning to live aligned with it. It's not another new technique that's missing. It's this shift in posture, all on its own, that reorganizes everything that came before. The real turning point happens when the measure of your manifestation stops being your bank statement and becomes your inner state, even before the result shows up. You know you've realigned when you feel calm first, not when the money arrives first. And that's when that old feeling of incapacity starts to dissolve. Not because you proved anything to anyone, but because it simply loses the place where it used to live. In its place comes a quiet confidence, no euphoria, no drama, just a quiet certainty that you're on the right path. Abundance stops being something you chase and becomes something you allow yourself to have. If, before you used to wonder why this never worked, even when you did everything right, now you already know. Because this piece was missing. And now you can start to see how this shift begins to show up in your actual life. You want to know how this looks different in practice, not just in theory. Fair enough. So let's get into what usually shows up first, for real. When someone realigns this frequency, the first real fruit isn't some big check falling out of nowhere. It's quieter than that. More peace when dealing with money, even before any bigger gain shows up. You open your bank statement without that automatic tightness in your chest. That's already a result, even if nobody else notices it from the outside. Then come the opportunities that fear used to block before you even registered it. That invitation to propose a fairer price, that negotiation you would have turned down out of insecurity, that project that seemed too big. You start saying yes to them, because the identity that accepts arrived before the proof did. And little by little, that urge to compare yourself to people who made it faster disappears too. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped measuring your worth by other people's speed. The initial result isn't a check. It's the state that inevitably starts opening the doors. And even with these results starting to show up, there are some common mistakes that can throw everything back to square one if you don't keep an eye on them. So-and-so used this method and got rich. I did it and nothing changed, so it's not for me. If that thought has ever crossed your mind, it's worth understanding something important, because this is where a lot of people throw away months of inner work over a silly misunderstanding. Measuring your spiritual capacity purely by your immediate financial result is different from that emotional delay crisis we talked about earlier. Here the problem is something else. It's interpretation. It's comparing your pace to someone else's pace, as if every inner process moved at the same speed for everyone, always. It's also going back to repeating that you don't have the gift the first time something gets hard, as if one stumble erased all the ground you've already covered. And it's turning your daily practice into a heavy obligation, carried out of guilt, with no real connection to what it's supposed to awaken in you. These mistakes don't prove you're incapable. They just show where you're still relearning how to live abundance. And once you avoid them, there's one last step left: turning all of this into a concrete routine. You don't need a miracle. You need 1 month of consistency on the right frequency, and that's already enough to turn the direction of your life around. Not as an empty promise, as a direct consequence of everything we've built up to this point. Think of the next 30 days in 4 stages without turning it into some rigid schedule where you check off a little box every single day. In the first few days, the focus is looking honestly at your internal statements about money and deciding who you want to be from there, steps 1 and 2. Then comes the work of feeling your body react differently. Training yourself to receive without discomfort, step 3. After that come the adjustments to behavior, focus, and control in your day-to-day, steps 4, 5, and 6. And in the final days, the consolidation. Living aligned instead of testing, step 7, tying it all together. One small gesture of abundance, repeated every day, helps sustain this. It doesn't even need to be financial. It can be giving someone your real attention, taking good care of something that's yours, noticing one good thing before you fall asleep. And it's worth keeping a simple record of the small synchronicities and changes that show up throughout the month, even the ones that seem too small to count. You're not incapable of manifesting. You just had never clearly seen what frequency you were broadcasting on. Now you have. And now, yes, you have a real path to follow. If you made it this far, you're not the same person who hit play on this video. You understood that the problem was never a lack of gift, it was a misaligned frequency, and that there's a technical, step-by-step path to correct that, without having to become a different person overnight. And if you want that path documented and organized, so you can check back whenever you need to, instead of relying only on your memory of what you heard here, the ebook I mentioned in the middle of the video is still linked in the description. It's not just for people who are just starting out. Plenty of people who've been working with this for a long time write to me saying they only understood where they were stuck after reading it. Tell me here in the comments, which of these 7 steps do you feel like you still haven't truly done? I want to know, because it helps me bring you the right next video. Sudskar, because I want to keep walking this journey with you, video after video, until this frequency becomes natural for you. And if this video touched something real, send it to someone you know who also thinks they don't have the gift. It might be exactly what that person needed to hear today. See you in the next one.